Here at First Class Medical, we don't just sell oxygen concentrators. We also work toward improving the lives of oxygen patients, both by helping to develop new technologies and empowering our patients with the education and tools they need to better manage their COPD and other respiratory conditions. Over the years, we have helped over 33,000 oxygen patients to maintain their freedom and independence. One of those patients is legendary actor Leonard Nimoy. Mr. Nimoy was diagnosed with COPD as a result of his years of tobacco use, although he had quit smoking several years before his diagnosis. He became very vocal about the importance of early detection of COPD and advocated for people to quit smoking, or better yet, to never start. Although Mr. Nimoy was an icon recognized the world over, his COPD story is very much like that of the rest of our patients. He, like others, wanted to go on living a productive life and enjoying the things that he had always enjoyed. His last tweet, posted just days before his death, says it all, and we hope that in some small way our services helped him to have more of those perfect moments with his family and friends. As all of us at First Class Medical had become very fond of Mr. Nimoy, we reached out to his daughter Julie and her husband David Knight to ask to become involved when we learned that they were making a film that continued his mission to raise awareness about COPD. The film is a very personal story about how a COPD diagnosis affects not just the patient, but their entire circle of loved ones. After a year of being part of this amazing project, the film is now complete and will begin the important work of not only spreading Mr. Nimoy's message of tobacco-free living, but also will endeavor to get the 13 million people who have COPD and don't know it to the doctor for diagnosis so that treatment can begin. Currently, there's no cure for COPD, but the earlier treatment commences, the more successful it is at prolonging life and providing a higher quality of life as well. Those at the United States Center for Disease Control recognize the health risks that tobacco poses and put forth great effort every year to find new and innovative ways to steer the public away from tobacco use. Every 5 years, they convene at the National Conference on Tobacco or Health to share ideas and collaborate on solutions. It was only fitting that one of the first audiences to screen the film, entitled Remembering Leonard, were these fellow voyagers on this important mission to help smokers quit and encourage young people never to start. As proud partners of Remembering Leonard, First Class Medical founder Caleb Umstead was invited to introduce the film at the conference. This is Dr. Corinne Graffunder, the director of the Office on Smoking and Health, talking about why COPD often goes undiagnosed and introducing the First Class Medical team.
In the early stages of COPD, there can oftentimes be no symptoms. However, as the disease gets worse, it becomes harder and harder to breathe. And smoking accounts for 8 out of every 10 COPD-related deaths. Remembering Leonard Nimoy is a journey into Mr. Nimoy's personal life, including his addiction to smoking and his struggles to quit. His hope in sharing his story is that it inspires other smokers to quit earlier in life than he did, and that it might also possibly spare others from suffering the way that he had to suffer. In addition, it's his great hope, I understand, that he really would like this to help keep young people from starting to smoke in the first place. We respect Mr. Nimoy for his courage and his willingness to speak out. We thank his family for being willing to share him and his experience through this movie, and we are grateful to him for his story. Following the film, we will have a brief Q&A session via Skype with Julie Nimoy, Leonard's daughter, and her husband, David Knight. I hope you're able to stay for that exciting opportunity. Now I'd like to introduce and ask to come to the stage a couple of people who were helpful to Mr. Nimoy after his diagnosis with COPD and who helped in the development of the film. Caleb Umstead is the founder of First Class Medical, Inc. He has spent the last 17 years working to help provide people help people suffering from COPD and other respiratory ailments, including Mr. Nimoy, helping them get the help that they need to get their freedom and independence back. In addition to Caleb, there are 2 other people who work with First Class Medical and who helped with the film. Shelby Soto, who is the Director of Technology, and Lisa Burkhart, who works in customer education and content marketing. So Caleb, I'd like to ask you now to say a few words about your role and your colleagues' role in helping Mr. Nimoy tell the story about his COPD caused by smoking. And thank you for being here.
So I'd like to start a little bit about who we are and what we do and why we want to be involved with the film. First Class Medical, as you saw in the Ad Fest, there was a lot of oxygen tanks. And so what we do is we provide oxygen users with tools that help them get over COPD or help them what we would call live long and prosper. So we do that through the use of technology and the use of what we call portable oxygen concentrators. It gets rid of the tanks so that they can travel and get back on with their life. Our first meeting with Mr. Nimoy, AKA Spock, one of our favorite characters, he was diagnosed with COPD. He reached out to our organization and we supplied him with a portable oxygen concentrator. Mr. Nimoy, as you can tell with all the Star Trek movies coming out, he needed to travel, he needed to get on with his life. And so COPD is a debilitating disease that causes patients and consumers to stay in their home. And so that is why we're here today. We're here today to honor Mr. Nimoy and what he was able to do. And we're really to honor the family for the ability to put a face, a hero, on this debilitating disease, COPD, and understand the trials and tribulations that every family member goes through when a family member gets diagnosed with COPD. So without further ado, we appreciate your time and thank you to the CDC for having us here today. And after this, I will come down for a brief question and answer so that we can talk with Julie and David. Without further ado, Remembering Leonard.